The Knowledge Valorisation platform connects players in Europe with ambition.
Hello there! Do you also find that research results are slow to reach the market? Should benefit citizens better? Should we turn into more solutions to tackle climate change and other challenges? The EU Knowledge Valorisation platform is there to change that. Have a look and exchange with like-minded people across Europe to make it happen. Share your best example of a valorization practice and get visibility. Be inspired by what others are doing. Join a community to tackle specific issues. Find advice and guidelines. Take part in workshops and events like the EU Knowledge Valorisation Week. Keep up with latest developments and background studies. There is much for you to discover on the EU Knowledge Valorisation platform. Join us!
Good morning. My name is Miguel Guzmão, and I will take you today on a journey about products, brands, and IP. So, I choose this product to help us to go through this journey, since for me it has a fascinating approach to IP. It relates very close between what consumers expect, what the users of this product expect, and how the IP system has helped this company to protect this creation, this invention. So, let's start a bit by the basics, no? Within such a product, you have a huge amount of different IP that is applicable to it. So you have all the technological part via patents that can be protected via patents. And for that, our colleague from the EPO already made a very interesting presentation, so I will not get too much into that. But you also have the codes, the IT code, the software codes, that helps this product, this controller to work. You have the trademarks that are applicable to it, that, for example, in this case, it's PlayStation. And then you have the appearance, the external appearance, the aesthetic appearance design. You also have the logo that can also be protected as a trademark and a design. So, starting a bit with the brand, with the trademarks, even though the consumers understand and I have an identification of PlayStation as a global brand, it is just an umbrella, so to say. So behind one brand, usually there are a lot of other brands that allow the creation of this global understanding of what this brand stays for. So if PlayStation is an umbrella brand, there are a lot of other brands that go to the details, the models, the different models of PlayStation, some specific technical features like the dual shock, slogans. So there is a lot of opportunities in terms of how to use the trademark system to protect the brand image that companies want to develop. Another aspect that is very important to create this identification between the brand and the consumers is the packaging. You know, the packaging is usually one of the interfaces between the consumers and the products, and it allows to identify what you are acquiring, but also allows to create a bound between the consumer and the product. So it's an essential part of the customer experience. We see a lot of the e-commerce platforms using not only pictures of the product, but also of the packaging. We have influencers having these unpackaging events where they receive a new product. So the packaging, the boxes, have created this new approach of the relationship between customers and the products. And of course, here again, trademarks and design play an important role because you have in the same product the protection as a trademark, but you can also have a design registration for your packaging. Another very interesting example in this product is that for this controller, they used one of their trademarks, the one you see on the bottom right, to create a tactile effect in the product. So they use these different symbols that are used for the buttons within the controller so that the surface of this design creates a grip when the consumers are using it. So again, this interaction and this linkage between the trademarks and designs is very useful to create and to develop this relationship between the consumers, between the people experimenting the products and the brands. So this type of relationship where you use an element that at the beginning was not the purpose, which is to identify the origin of the goods, in this case a trademark, you use it to create this experience. No? So you enhance the customer experience, you have a better functionality because you increase the grip of the product. And this is just an example how many times using the IP system, using the different IP rights is very interesting to develop this customer experience. Another example is the protection of holograms via trademarks. So you can protect this type of trademark that creates this effect on the consumer. So this is another thing that the trademark system also allows for it to be protected. Another very interesting example, and this is something that with the huge digital environment and digital context that we face and that we experience, consumers more and more create these experiences with products, with brands, with companies via digital platforms. So the multimedia trademarks have been growing in the last couple of years, and those are very good examples how not only the classical static trademarks are useful to create that brand awareness, to create that relationship between the consumer and the brand, but multimedia marks are something that can be used in e-commerce platforms. They might also be used in other digital platforms like Metaverse and other platforms that might be created in the future. So this is another possibility that the system is already available and is already ready for brand owners to use. Another very interesting element is to try to capture the experience via colors. No? It is possible to have a color mark. So imagine that in this case there is a very specific tone of color that this controller, this blue that is coming out of the controller, whenever you are using it, no? When the controller is off, it has no energy, no light. But when you turn it on, it creates a very specific light. It creates this blue light. So it is also possible to, after, if that blue light creates a distinctive linkage between the product and the brand, that you have a registration for that specific color regarding your brand. So this is another possibility that the trademark system provides. So from this type of special trademarks and special types of registration is what is usually called as, the interior of a shop, where you can come into contact, where the consumers, where the potential people that want to buy products get in contact with the brand, that get in contact with the products. So the IP system is ready to protect this identification of the brand of the company. You can get a registration for the layout, for the display, for the getup of the interior of a shop. So you can have it protected as a design, or when you achieve sufficient distinctive character within the public, you can also have the interior of a shop registered as a trademark. So the IP system, especially in trademarks and design, they are very cumulative. So you can use the system in both directions in a very effective manner, depending what is the brand image, what is the presence you want to create with your customers. So the same subject matter is protected, is included in the protection, but the protection is different. So when you have, for example, a shape of a bottle, you see the perfume bottle on the top left, that one, if you file a design, you get the aesthetical appearance. What you see is what you get. While if you get it as a trademark, it means that the identification of the shape of the bottle is linked to the owner of the brand. There is also a very famous case that whenever we see the shape of a Coca-Cola bottle, we all know where it comes from, and we don't need to see it written Coca-Cola on it. So this is exactly what is meant by this, that you can have a dual protection, but with different protection types. So, and this type of protection is very common in packaging shapes, also very much common in graphic symbols, logos, whatever type of graphical appearance you have, and also in the interior of shops, what is usually called as a getup of a retail display. Now, understanding a little bit better where you can have a registration for a community design and how does it work, what is the steps to be taken. Well, first of all, registered designs and registered European trademarks are registered at the UIPO, and the registration process is quite straightforward, as I will explain a bit later on. So now focusing more on designs. Now we see already that there is a lot of overlaps, and the system is very efficient in terms of providing you protection as a trademark, as a design. But now I would like to focus a little bit more on the designs and what type of designs you can have protected. So we mentioned a little bit the packaging of products. This is one area that you get a lot of registrations. You can have a single product being registered as a design, or you can have a set of products. You can have, for example, this furniture which has different components, a sofa, a bench, and so on. You can also have registered as a design composite products, which usually are very, very complex, so this is perfectly possible. And in case you are developing simply a part of the product, not the whole product, you can also have the protection for a single component of that product. You just need to show what is that you are really seeking protection for, and you can have that registered as a design. Of course, you can have logos, no problem in having logos for the aesthetic appearance of logos. You also can have computer icons, so whatever you registered in the design system can be digital. There is no requirement that it is physical, so you can have computer icons registered as a designs. If you developed to raise your your brand image, your identification with your brand. If you, for example, develop a new specific typeface that your consumers, so that you can use it in the communications with your customers, you can also register as a design typefaces. You can register graphic designs, so whatever ornamentation, whatever graphic design you apply, physical, digital, you can register as a design. The interior of shops, or the interior of a caravan, of the interior of whatever space you would like to have as a design. You can have ornamentation that can be in 2 dimensions or even in 3 dimensions with some type of, as a 3D effect, with some type of grip, with some time of, you can feel that there is something there different on that part of the product. You can have web design, you can have graphical user interfaces, so all this is possible to be registered as a design, and even things like maps, whatever you believe that it makes sense to be interpreted as a design and has a value to the development of the company. Now, you saw that I mentioned that there is not a big, there is no difference for a design if it is in a physical product or a digital product, no? So in recent years, we started to get more and more registrations for virtual goods, mostly virtual goods that are used either in online gaming or now more recently in the metaverse. So products that are specifically designed and specifically developed to be used and to be experimented by consumers in digital environments like in the metaverse. So in the design system, this is something that it's perfectly okay, and we already have a series of registrations that go that way. Now, I have now a question on, you mentioned that the graphic design can be protected by a registered community design. Wouldn't this graphic design be copyright protected anyway? Well, yes, but the protection is different. So when you have the protection of a design as a copyright, it is basically a creation, it is protected as a creation. While when you protect it as a registered community design, it protects the industrial application of a design, which means that any other graphical design that does not have individual character comparing to this one you have registered, you can you can enforce your design right. So the level of protection you get from a registered design is higher than you get from a copyright. So it's a different type of protection. No? So if, and this is the example that is very common, and we have a lot of those examples, which are the graphical user interfaces. Now, graphical user interfaces, they play a very important role in software, in apps, and other products. So that type of graphical design, we have a lot of those registrations coming in, no? Because the companies that are putting a lot of investment in terms of user testing, in terms of understanding which is the best positioning for the information, for the buttons, for the functionalities, via the registered design system, you can have a very effective protection of your graphical user interface. So I will go now for the next slide. So just to close this topic on this, the protection of designs that also is possible in the metaverse, for example, you can, if you have interest to know more about how this is possible, trademarks and designs in the metaverse, we have webinars at the UIPO that you can watch online, both live or recorded afterwards. This is very interesting because it provides you examples, it provides you what are the limits, what is included in the protection, what are the issues you need to take care of. So if you want to know more, I would suggest you to go to these webinars that we publish, that we launch every week on different topics, but this one specifically on trademarks and designs in the metaverse. Now, one of the key elements when you develop a design, when you want to bring your product to market, is to know what is already existent, what is already in the marketplace, and also what is already protected as a design, so that you don't infringe anyone else's designs. So you have access to Design View, which is a global database with more than 20 million designs registrations from all over Europe, from the major commercial partners of the EU, China, Japan, Korea, the United States, several South American countries, several Asian countries, where we have all the information. So I took here the example of a video game controller, and I got a series of results. So I can go through each of those results, and then of course I can go to the specifics. So for example, I chose that controller you see on the right. I know when it was filed, to who it belongs, and for example, if I have some interest to know more, you even have the name of the owner of that design that you can contact. No? So this Design View database is very interesting to assess prior art, but it is also very interesting if you want to contact other players in the marketplace that are operating in the same, the business sector that you are experiencing. Okay, I have two further questions. First, should I first register my design with the IP office of my country, or opt for a EU design? So, what are the differences? It depends what is your market strategy. So what you want to do. So if you have a first strategy that you only go for one market within one country, and you want to test the market first, you can easily go for a national registration, and then you have a period of time that you can then go for a EU registration. So you have 6 months that you can afterwards go for a EU registration. So it depends on the strategy. If you already want to go on a EU level, then you can go immediately for the EU registration. Second question I have, what is the difference between a design and a patent? Okay, can I have both protecting the same product? Okay, that's a more difficult answer to give. Now, you don't protect the same thing between a design and a patent. In a design, you are protecting the aesthetical appearance. So that is what you are protecting. So it's what you see is what you get. So when we get a file, when you get an application for a design, the applicant has to submit pictures or drawings of a design. So those pictures, those drawings, they are what defines the scope of protection of a design. So this logic of what you see of what you get. And as it was explained at the first session today, in a patent, it's much more about the technical features, what is new, what is that you are developing from the technical perspective. In designs, that's not happen. No? If the design has a pure technical function, then you cannot register it as a design. So a design covers the aesthetic components. What you see is what you get. Okay, so we move forward. So if you decide at some point to register a design, it's a very efficient and very effective procedure. If you comply with some rules, you can get a fast track that you get your registration in less than 2 working days. Sometimes even in 1 day you will get it. And you can have also the regular track, and you get the registration more or less in 10 working days. So the fees, which is always some issues there, the fees is 350 euros for a design, and this covers the protection for 5 years. And if you apply, if you are an SME, or if you are you can also apply to the SME fund within the UIPO, and the price goes down to 88 euros. So it's a very cheap and affordable registration system. At the end of this procedure, what you will get is a certificate. This is what I am showing to you on the right of the screen. And in that certificate, it shows who is the owner, when the filing was done, that it was registered at the UIPO, and you also get the pictures. And those pictures that you see there, those images of the product, is what defines what you have registered. Okay, so that is the key aspect of a design registration, is what type of images are you providing to the certificate. So that's the most important aspect. Now, going on that line, if you have any doubts when you are applying for a design, we can provide you real-time guidance. So you can apply, or you can simply ask to have a Teams meeting with us, and we can explain to you how to make the applications, what type of pictures to use, what shall you include in your application. So this type of guidance is very efficient, especially when you are doing it for the first time and you have any doubts while using our e-filing platform. Now, one of the key questions is, okay, when should you apply for the protection, considering how the designs are protected within the system? So here you have a bit of a parallel between all the different IP rights that you have been listening about in recent days, especially today. So imagine that you are an entrepreneur, that you are developing a product. And as usual, when you are developing products, you have a series of prototypes that you are using. Sometimes you test with a small group of consumers, but you have different types of products. So the design system has 2 types of protection. The registered designs, that is a protection that up to 25 years. So you see a patent is 20 years, a design is 25. Or you can have unregistered community design. Okay? Now, I will focus in the next slides on this aspect, the difference between an unregistered community design and a registered community design, and then I will take some of the questions being made. So, whenever an entrepreneur has a final prototype that wants to put to the market, so as the first production product, so to say, that you are ready, there are various options. So the first option, you can directly go and you registered your design, okay? Of course, if after 6 months or 12 months, you again change the design, so you change some aesthetic features, some visible characteristics of the design, the first registration you did, it becomes a bit, it does not cover these new features. So you would need to file for a second design so that you make sure that the product that you have in the marketplace is covered by design protection. So, and this of course entails costs, entails time spent in managing applications and all that. So you have another possibility, which is that you use the unregistered community design system. So basically, as the name says, you don't need to register it, but of course you need to disclose it. No? So you need to make your design available to the public, and this protection is a max of 3 years, and it's a lower protection than a registered design. No? It's a protection against copy, not against similar designs, but basically a protection against exact copies. Now, what is interesting about the unregistered design system is that after 1 year, so within 1 year after the date of the disclosure, you can ask for a registered design, meaning that if you put your product in the marketplace and you see that there is a huge amount of success, you have consumer acceptance, and it really has value, you have this period that you can experiment products, especially if you have a huge amount of products. Imagine that you have a company that is producing hundreds and hundreds of new products every year. Applying for design applications for all of them is very, very, very costly. So this system allows the design to be tested in the marketplace, and then you can come back for the ones that really have a success and having them as a registered community design. Now, the disclosure part, no? What does it mean to make available to the public? So this is a question I already have, so I will focus on that question now because it goes very well with this slide. So the moment you disclose the design, that disclosure needs to reach the interested sectors in the union. Meaning that if I'm showing a design to my friends, to a small group of clients, that's not enough. So I need to put my design accessible to the interested sectors in the union. So if I go to a trade fair and I show a design there, yes, that can be considered a disclosure. No? Especially, of course, we are talking about a trade fair where all the different market players in the union attend. No? If I go to a telecommunications trade fair and I show a new mobile phone, everyone knows this is there, and that disclosure is easily proven. No? Or I can even show it in some specialized platform that I know that thousands or hundreds of thousands of people access every day, like a social network. So those kind of disclosures are acceptable and have been acceptable in some cases that reach the court. Of course, there are always some different opinions about what is the reach that the disclosure needs to have. It depends a lot of the type of product that you need to disclose. For example, if you are developing a new product that is used by surgeons, which is a very small community, the level of disclosure that you expect is a lot smaller and within that specific field. If you are disclosing a product that is a mass consumer product, the level of disclosure is a lot broader than it is needed. And that's why you can always opt simply to apply for a registered community design early on. Okay, I have another question on enforcing IP rights, but I will take that question on another slide that I have on enforcement. So I will move forward now, which is exactly this one. Okay, the question is, enforcing IP rights can be expensive. It is worth registering IP rights if the company cannot afford to sue others. Okay, so that is a very tricky question, no? Because IP rights is all about transforming an asset, no, that is coming from an innovation process, a creation process. You want to transform an economic asset that you can have a certificate that supports, that materializes that asset. No? When you register a design, what you are doing is to try to put some level of protection on investments that were made before. No? That's the whole principle. Now, the key aspect is that when you have a design in the marketplace, you have a registered design. If you need to enforce that design, the first step that you have to do when someone is infringing your design is that you contact the authorities, the police authorities or the customs. Now, for that specific purpose, the UIPO developed the IP enforcement portal. So this is an online tool. It's completely free of charge, so any company, any applicant can use it. It is focused to enforce IP rights in the territory of the Union. So basically, how does it work? You have a registered design or a registered trademark or several registered IP rights, and you include your name, your company in the platform. And then if you detect in the marketplace that someone is infringing your design or your trademark or any other IP right, you can use the system to file an application for action, so an AFA, application for action. This is a centralized point that application for action goes to all the different polices and customs in the Union. So for example, imagine that you see that there is someone infringing your trademark or your design in Poland, but you are based in France, or you saw that was some infringement in France and you are based in the Czech Republic. It doesn't actually matter, because within the system, it will reach the customs or the police that actually need to take action, okay? So if you want to know more about this, you can easily go to the IPO website. There is a lot of information there. There is training, support. You can have even more, you can also contact the office that we will explain you how to use the platform. Of course, you also might be seeing what type of risks you face depending on your market sector, no? Depending on your type of IP right. No? The risks in terms of infringement for some products are different from other products. No? So within that platform, there is a huge amount of information that we developed together with the police authorities, the customs authorities across the Union. So for enforcement, I strongly advise you to go to that platform. It's completely free of charge and gives you access to all the police authorities and customs throughout the Union. So I would not like to close a bit this presentation about designs, about trademarks, brands, and the consumer experience without communicating. We are showing to you a little bit what is the value. No, you know that we did a study conducted by the UIPO together with TPO on the value of designs for the EU. No, and as you see, well, we all understand, no, that designs plays a very critical role in, customer acceptance and uptake for products, for services. It has increased its relevance in the last few years, more and more, especially the interface between digital experiences, between the physical world and digital. So, just for you for us to realize, and at least for me, when I saw the study for the first time, it was very striking that 1.2 billion of euros of exports are based on design-intensive industries. So basically, industries that use the design system, that invest in design as something that makes a difference to the relationship between the products and services and the consumers. So I don't know if I have any other questions. No? So then if that is the case, I would like to thank you all for participating in this last session of the Knowledge Valorisation Week. It was a true pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. You can also rewatch all these sessions online whenever you want. So nothing else from my side except to thank you for your attention and the questions made. And it was a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.